2:10 p.m. At the Emergency Operations Center, Ron Watkins and Chris Brizendine noticed tornado warnings going up in western Tennessee. They monitor radio communications out of a nearby county and hear local storm spotters report tornado sightings. Chris checks the weather radar again and sees the storm track. The path of the storm is now dangerously close.
The new track showed it going directly to the center of Paris.
2:22 p.m. A tornado warning is issued for Henry County.
Paris PD to city, county, and state units. The National Weather Service has placed us under a tornado warning until 3 p.m.
As a trained storm spotter, Chris wants to report on the storm firsthand. He picks up a camera and heads out the door.
I just told him to go out and be careful.
Chris jumps in his truck and drives into the storm.
The wind had really kicked up a lot and started to hear a rumble. Looked at the field, and everything in the field was leaning that way. I knew there was a strong rotation.
2:35 p.m. He sees it, a tornado dropping from the sky.
I think I was half a mile away from it when I first saw it.
Tornado on the ground coming down Highway 54.
Then, a second twister begins to form.
We had another wall cloud forming in front of it. I didn't believe there would be enough energy in that storm for 2 tornadoes. I was wrong.
Roger.
He radioed back in and said that we did have 2 tornadoes on the ground at that time.
One of the twisters disappears. The other one grows to become a 1/4 mile wide. Chris makes sure he's a safe distance from the vortex, but continues to be Ron's eyes and ears out in the community.
Ron, it may be coming behind the EOC. It's past the carburetor plant right now.
He indicated that it may be heading towards the Emergency Operations Center here.
Ron conveys the information to local authorities, including Danny Tucker, captain of the Henry County Rescue Squad.
It hit so fast and hit so hard and hit so many different places. Our rescue squad members were dispersed in as many places as we could.
2:37 p.m. Glenn Lee and a coworker are outside their downtown office building, watching the powerful twister.
I was out in the parking lot taking pictures of it as it was coming toward Paris. I couldn't tell from the tree line whether it was on the ground or not, but it was certainly a big black funnel cloud.
Glenn's manager hurries outside to give him a message. Radio reports say the tornado is just southwest of Paris, near Glenn's home. Across town, Glenn's wife Pam and their daughter Beth have just arrived home. Beth heads upstairs.
I was exhausted, so I went into my room, turned on the stereo as loud as it could go, and just plopped on my bed.
Downstairs, Pam gets a frightening phone call from her husband.
He said there had been a sighting in a community very close to us, and it was moving very quickly.
Pam hangs up the phone and runs to get Beth.
Mom comes in, grabs me, and starts pulling me down the stairs.
And into the safety of the basement.
I began to hear a roar, not like anything I had heard. It was just a constant roar.
Mom kept pacing back and forth, and I was just sitting there like, Mom, stop, it's okay. Our house was brick, and we have 8-inch poured concrete basement. I didn't think anything could happen to our house.
Pam instructs her daughter to stay put while she goes to investigate.
I went through the game room down to look out the basement door. The tornado was coming directly toward us.
And then she just comes back in with this freaked out look on her face. I'm like, Mom, what is it?
I said, Beth, get in the laundry now.
Pam rushes her daughter into the basement laundry room.
She slammed the door really quickly behind us. We were in pitch black.
She was down holding, she knew what to do, and we were just as close together as we could be.
The F2 twister races toward their home at 50 miles an hour.
People say the tornadoes sound like trains, but it didn't sound like a train. This was a really loud roar and a lot of glass breaking.
The beams breaking. We had huge beams in our home, and I could hear the wood splintering. We just stood together and prayed for safety.
And the next thing I know, the house is shaking, and the tornado is ripping our little brick house away like it was nothing.
November 15th, 2005, 2:40 p.m. West of downtown Paris, Tennessee, an F2 tornado has just torn apart the Lee family home.
It was all over in about 3 seconds, and it was just dead quiet.
The tornado is now headed directly for the Emergency Management Agency, located north of downtown. EMA Director Ron Watkins has been tracking the storm since 9 a.m. Now, he and his staff could sustain a direct hit from the twister.
The winds picked up very, very rapidly, and also associated with that was a loud roaring noise, like a jet engine, and it was deafening. I got up and looked out the blinds and saw a lot of debris flying around outside and knew that it was getting close to us.
Employees race for shelter, but a handful of people become trapped outside.
We had some employees that had just pulled up and didn't have time to exit their vehicles.
They're in the parking lot when winds estimated at up to 150 miles an hour lash the building. The tornado is just 100 yards away. Ron leads his co-workers downstairs into the basement. About 20 EMA and Highway Department employees take shelter there.
They were very excited and screaming and yelling, that it was coming, getting close to us. I think everybody was aware that we were in imminent danger. The building started to shake, and we could hear the roof being torn off.
The quarter-mile wide twister sweeps over the EMA building and levels some nearby factories. The swirling cloud of debris continues northeast. It leaves behind a 20-mile path of destruction before dissipating in Kentucky. An eerie silence falls over the EMA.
We started popping our head out of the basement, and we ascertained that it was safe to come out.
Cautiously, the group emerges from its hiding place.
When we came up from the basement and saw the damage that had occurred outside, there was a lot of havoc, a lot of trees down, a lot of power lines down. We're kind of in shock, actually.
But no one inside the building or outside in their vehicles was hurt.
We tried to ascertain the conditions of our employees, and fortunately, we had no injuries.
Ron and his co-workers rushed to get their systems up and running. Severe storms are still in the area. Ron tracks the continuing threats and keeps the community informed about potential new dangers.
We did start our emergency operations procedures, calling in local rescue squads, law enforcement agencies, and our EMS department also.
2:45 p.m., downtown Paris. Glenn Lee is watching the storm, worried about his wife Pam and their daughter at home. He tries calling, but can't get through on the phone.
So I told everybody at the office, I'm going home to see what's happened. As I was leaving, my son calls. He called Pam and got through. He said, "Dad, Mom said the house is gone."
Glenn jumps in his truck and speeds home. The rain is coming down hard. Fallen trees block the road.
Trees were just snapped off like toothpicks. At the bottom of the hill, the trees were all across the highway. It was impassable.
Glenn is forced to abandon his vehicle. He flags down the first truck he sees.
I said, "Sir, I need to get back to my home. Can you take me back up the hill?" So he turned around and took me as far as he could go.
Glenn is only 500 yards from his house. He must now finish the rest of his journey on foot.
The skies are dark. Lightning, thunder. It's pouring down rain. I started stepping over the big branches, weaving my way under the branches.
Glenn's wife Pam and their daughter Beth are still huddled in their basement laundry room, wondering if it's safe to come out.
It was such an unusual quiet. I said, just stay here, Beth, for a few minutes and make sure everything is passed. I kept watching my daughter to make sure she was okay, and she just did great.
They open the laundry room door and slowly walk out into the basement.
The ceiling tiles were on the floor, but nothing else seemed wrong. So I was like, okay, the house shook a little bit. Then I noticed there was a crack in the ceiling of our staircase because it's enclosed, and there was light shining through it. And I was like, wait, there's never been light there before.
We went up the stairs and opened the door, and that was when it really hit you. We're okay, but our house is gone. And you felt like you were in a dream.
As Pam and Beth survey the damage, Glenn rushes toward what's left of his home.
I could see the remnants. It was just total devastation. And of course, the only thing that was on my mind was my wife and little girl. I had to find out if they were okay. I ran through the trees and I started yelling for Pam and Beth. There was a sense of panic until I was sure that everyone was safe. I felt like they were, but I wanted to see them.
As he approaches the rubble, he sees his wife.
I always wondered how people felt that dealt with this, and until we experience it, we can't fully know. So it was just such a joy to see him and know he was all right and let him know we were okay, and just hug one another and say it's okay, and it'll be okay.
Glenn is also relieved to find his daughter unharmed.
I saw him and I just said, Daddy, and he turned around and just ran to me and gave me the biggest hug I've ever had in my life.
That was a good sight. To see them okay, that was the silver lining around the cloud. And the whole time, you can't believe it's happened.
November 15th, 2005, 3:30 p.m. An F2 tornado has cut a 7-mile path of destruction through Paris, Tennessee. Glenn Lee reunites with his wife and daughter, who were in their basement when the tornado hit. The Lees examine the ruins of their house. They are at a loss for what to do next. Friends and neighbors are there to help.
The whole community just came and helped us without even being asked.
I asked one gentleman, I said, I don't believe I know you. He said, no. He said, I heard there was a storm and homes were lost. And so I just got in my truck and came to see, and yours was the first house we came to.
They helped beyond all reason, without pay. They just came.
One of those leading the recovery effort is Rescue Squad Captain Danny Tucker.
I know the sheriff stopped by there personally at Glenn's house, and a lot of different volunteers.
I cannot compliment enough the emergency personnel within our community because this storm encompassed many people all over our entire county.
Henry County is comprised of some wonderful, giving people. The neighbors came out to assist their neighbor, cleaning the roadways and removing debris.
Tennessee's considered the volunteer state, so in my heart, we've lived up to our reputation.
You take it a day at a time, and you just have to be grateful for the blessings that we have. It just quietens your heart to know, everything's okay.
A month after the tornado, the Lees returned to where their house used to stand.
This was our bedroom that was gone. There were just some walls that were precariously standing, and the kitchen and dining room that were open but still had some walls. But this was the living room, our great room, and entryway that when we walked up, it was just open and rain pouring in. That was such a scary time.
And this was my room. They were the first to be hit.
This is where she was just a very few minutes before we ran downstairs.
The rebuilding continues throughout Northwest Tennessee.
The community As a whole, the churches in the area are getting together and forming some help for the people that have been devastated by this. If my house didn't get hit, but my neighbors did, I think they're still saying, yes, it does affect me, and yes, it did do harm to me. And that's why I think, you know, they're out there to help their fellow man.
Is it safe to try to outrun a tornado in your vehicle? Find out when Storm Stories continues. So is it safe to try to outrun a tornado in your vehicle? Do not try to leave the area once a tornado warning has been issued. Your vehicle is one of the most dangerous places to be during a tornado. If there is no safe structure close by, find a ditch or other ground depression and immediately cover your head with your arms. Also, contrary to popular belief, do not seek shelter under an overpass. Winds can accelerate underneath a bridge, and the bridge often catches debris. For Storm Stories, I'm meteorologist Jim Cantore.